Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. So today we are going to be unboxing and inspecting and setting up the TOVSTO AEGEAN. And again, I got shipped one with the box inside out. So it's going to be kind of nothing to look at here on the box. So let's just go ahead and unbox it really quick. But this is basically a very simple GPS quadcopter that's going to be kind of a competitor in the very low budget brushless GPS 350 size, like phantom size quadcopters. So here it is, the TOVSTO AEGEAN. I believe that's how you say it. Forgive me if I'm getting the pronunciation wrong, but this is it here. So in this review, we're going to be kind of just unboxing it here. I'm going to bring it back to the bench and do kind of a close-up inspection under the lamp and with my Canon camera, and just get like a really in-depth inspection and setup. And I may just do a full review on this one. I may, since it's so simple, there's no really super advanced functions on this, I may just do like a full review, take it to the park in this one also, and do a pros and cons at the park on this one all together. So anyways, here it is, the AEGEAN, and pretty simple here. It's just a kind of a plain Jane GPS quadcopter. You can see it's got brushless motors, that 350 phantom size here. It kind of does have a neat black look. Here's a little non-gimbaled camera mount, so this should be able to fit like a GoPro camera there. Here's a controller, kind of an interesting kind of controller here. It's just black, rounded. There is no antennas or anything, and it's got this little bar here that can let it sit up like this. That's kind of nice that you can set it up. There's a plug for the charger. So this is a 3S charger, which is going to charge a 3S battery. Well, again, we'll go more in depth on all this stuff once we get back to the bench. I just wanted to unbox it here since it's such a large box. It's hard to fit on my little bench there in the garage. Anyway, it looks like they're only giving us 4 propellers. There's no extra propellers that this one comes with. This is going to be like a very low budget kind of quad. It's going to be attractive to people that don't want to spend a bunch of money for advanced features, just your basic. It's probably going to have all those things like return to home and stuff, just basic GPS quad functions. Little tool bag here, and really that is it. Opening up the bottom here, taking the cardboard out, and we've got all of our instruction manuals and stuff. So you can see the box, kind of what it looks like if it wasn't inside out. This is kind of what it's going to look like. It's got the TOVSTO branding on it, and this one's called the AEGEAN quadcopter. So anyway, let's go ahead and take this back to the bench and get a really in-depth look at all this stuff, set it up real quick. And I think since this one's so simple, I am going to just go ahead and do a full review one time with this. I may do some more videos if I do some mods to it, or it does look like it's got a gimbal control here, and I think I saw actual gimbal pitch input down here, so you can put on like your own gimbal there. So I may, after I do this first review with just the stock stuff it comes with and the flight test, I'll probably do a follow-up on this with a 3D gimbal or something, 2 or 3D gimbal, so we can see how that performs as well. So let's get all this back to the bench and continue with our review. Alright, cool. So here we are on the bench. We've got everything over here out of the box, and let's just go through a little bit in depth on all the stuff that this TOVSTO AEGEAN comes with. Hope I'm saying that right again. Sorry if I'm getting that wrong, but AEGEAN, I believe. Anyways, here's the controller, and it's basically kind of like the same controller that TOVSTO uses for a lot of their quads. And with this one, I'm not seeing any like spring throttle, so that's kind of interesting to me that it's not a spring throttle. I thought this one would have altitude hold. We'll have to definitely be double checking that in our flight test, make sure it has some kind of altitude hold. Here are the different modes. We can see that on the controller we have everything labeled very clearly. So manual start mode for arming, and also it looks like this is how you arm it. You just pull this stick to the bottom right. And then number 2 is GPS position hold mode. So it should lock its position in once you click this in here. And then we've got smart orientation mode, which sounds to me like a headless mode, where you can be in headless mode here, and whatever direction the craft is facing, back will always be back towards you, and also for the corresponding other directions will go in the same directions they look like. We've got our gimbal control here. Now this version does not come with a gimbal, so I'll be putting on a gimbal probably in the next video after this main review here. We'll just test it with the regular camera holder it comes with, and we'll put like a GoPro style camera in there to just test to see how the video is. And then of course we have our pitch and our roll on this side, power switch, and our home button. Now this one is a button that clicks in and locks and then clicks out. So it looks like that's going to be kind of our return to home. If you wanted to come home, you click it in. If you want to get out of that home, you return to home mode, you click it out. It looks like it's got this little bit of screen protector plastic material here on the little power window there. So that's just like one LED light. And this one here, it looks like a speaker, but it's actually, I think it's a speaker port plus it's a bind port combo where you just poke something in there and you're going to feel a switch that pushes and clicks down if you need to rebind these kind of crafts. That's what that's for. That's basically it on the controller. You've got this cool looking aluminum bar here on the back, which helps it kind of stand up on a countertop or something. Not sure what this is. It looks like maybe this will be an aftermarket peripheral, possibly for like an FPV screen or something to attach. And then these are just screw holes. Battery compartment, it's going to be taking 4 AA batteries. And this thing is going to click in nice and tight so that won't fly out. Looks like it's got kind of some rubber on here, so you got some extra grip there for the controller. But that's the controller, nothing here. This is blanked out and no other buttons or switches besides what we've went over. It's got like a nice TOVSTO insignia here, little chrome sticker. And as far as the other stuff, here is the charger. Let's go ahead and take this charger out of the bag. And it's just basically kind of a your plain Jane type of charger that's like rebranded. It's a 3S. You can see that it's got a 2 and a 3S port, balance port on the bottom there. And then over here, if we just take off this sticker, that's where we're going to be plugging in the power cord, which is right here. So the power cord comes with that. Looks like I have a US power cord, and that's going to plug in, and then your battery is just going to plug in there for charging. And the battery they give us is a 2200 milliamp 3S battery. Get a little closer look on this one here. 3S, 11.1 volt. I'm not sure what the C rating is on this. Doesn't really say any type of C rating. I would assume it's maybe 15 C or so, but anyway, that's the battery with the XT connector, and here is the balance port, and they did include that new little clip to kind of help with holding and pulling out. What's cool with this one is, you know what, check this out. I have this 5100 milliamp battery, 3DR Robotics 3S battery, hanging around from when the days of the Cheerson CX-20 I used to fly, and this gave my Cheerson CX-20 quadcopter with fully loaded up to like 20 minutes of flight just about. And guess what? It actually fits in the TOVSTO drone. So this is going to be interesting. This is a battery bay on here that actually is the same shape as this, and check this out. So this battery, be it a little bit tight, will actually fit inside the TOVSTO drone, so we can just push it all the way in. I got these from Amazon, these batteries, and we can push it in. It does stick out a little bit, but what I'm thinking is after I do this initial review, I'm probably going to notch the end of this right here on both sides, and that battery door will actually close up all the way and snap in if I do go ahead and notch this little battery door. So that's going to be interesting to see how much more flight time we get with this battery. It is a little bit tight in here, but it should be okay. There's some padding in the battery compartment that gives a little bit on the top and the sides to allow this battery to fit. But this is going to be interesting. I mean, I don't expect the TOVSTO here to fly for very long with this 2200 milliamp battery, and giving it over twice the capacity as long as the drone can handle it. This is going to be awesome if this works with this drone. So anyhow, getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here, let's go ahead and continue on with kind of inspecting the drone. So here it is, the TOVSTO AEGEAN And there is our light here. This is actually the back of the drone, so the light's going to be on the back. It's got these little air vents on the top where the air can kind of go down and flow through for the ESCs. Here's our little light cups here with 3 LEDs on the front and the back for both arms, or all 4 arms. And then we have, of course, our motor screws. These motors, I'm not sure what the exactly what these are, but they look very similar to most motors this side. I'll go ahead and have the links on this down in the description of the video, so don't forget to check that for all the specs, and that link for the current pricing as well. I think they have all the specs on the website. But anyway, there's our motors, brushless motors. Look very similar to Phantom style motors. And then turning this thing over to the bottom. So actually this is going to be the front, kind of like the X380 drone. The battery compartment is in the front where you open that up. So that's the front of the drone. You can see here on this arm that we actually have a the receiver antenna for control coming down the leg here, so that's great that they did that. They kept it out of the body, so we should get some decent range. Here's the compass here on the bottom, so they've taken kind of the Phantom way of doing things and brought the compass, and also the X380 way of doing things, and brought the compass down here on the leg, so it's away from all the electronics in here. You can see on the bottom that we've got kind of a proprietary looking kind of gimbal mount, so I'm sure that the screws will probably line up to aftermarket gimbals, but we'll have to check that out in the next video I do. I'll probably do a video where I test this battery and also have like a gimbal on there and stuff, so we'll check that out. We can see on the bottom here, on the bottom of the front right leg, that we've got a JST for power, and then we also have a plug-in for the pitch control. So what that's going to do is that's going to enable us to hook up a gimbal or other peripheral that uses this pitch control on the controller. This is the pitch control over here. If you look at the controller over here, it does have this pitch control on the left top of the transmitter here. Anyways, that's pretty much it for the drone. It's very simple, and it's just got this plaque here on the bottom that kind of gives you some checklists before you fly, just some kind of safety things about keeping away from people and objects and off of properties and stuff. But anyway, that's it. Pretty simple, black, plain Jane kind of drone, GPS drone. Here's the propellers. Let's just go ahead and open up one of these bags here and kind of see what these propellers are like. These look very similar to Phantom style propellers. They basically look like Phantom copies. They are 9-inch with a 45-degree pitch type of propellers, and it looks like they are just screw-on, so they're self-locking screw-on propellers, so we'll be putting those on in a second. I'm pretty self-explanatory. These are just some little motor safety precaution things that come on top of the motors. Just take those off. But basically the way these screw on, if you don't already know, is you just match up the arrow on the propeller. So it looks like this one here on the arm has an arrow going in the clockwise direction, and also you can see on the top of the motor here that's got a little black dot, and this motor has no black dot. So what you want to do is you want to take the propeller that has the black top here and you want to put that on the one that has the black dot, and then basically you're just screwing this on, and it should just basically screw itself right on, and just give it a little bit of a tightening here, finger tight. And then to take them off, you're just kind of holding the motor and going in the opposite direction until they spin up and taking them off. So really simple. Here is the camera mount. Let's just pull this out of the bag real quick. And it's just your basic thumb screw kind of position camera mount where you're just going to put a GoPro style camera in here. You're just going to set it in. This one does have like these screws on the side, so you just open one of these screws up, it hinges out, pop your camera in, push it back in, and you should be good to go. And then this one here, if you want to adjust the angle here, you just loosen it, adjust the angle, and then you can tighten this with your finger, or if you need it even tighter, just put a little flathead screwdriver in there and you can tighten that screw there so the camera doesn't move around. So just a very basic kind of mount with some dampening tabs here. And all you're doing with this guy is you're just screwing it right to the bottom. And it looks like what we're getting in the bag here are a few Allen wrenches and the screws in order to put on that camera mount or a gimbal. Then you have this bind plug. They give you a couple little zip ties. These may be if you're going to mount up a gimbal on the bottom here. You can do some wire management with these zip ties. And then it's just a propeller wrench. So putting on your propellers should be nice and easy, but sometimes when you're taking them off after they're a little tight, you need something to kind of hold these motors. And this is a great one because you can see that it locks right in there. And so it's not going to like chew up your motors or anything. It's perfectly locking in one of these things so you have a little bit of more secure grip. So I'm glad they included this nice wrench in the box. And the only other thing in the box is basically the instruction manual. So let's just pull this out of the bag real quick. And we just have a few precautions and stuff about the laws in your area. We've got a little pre-flight checklist book. And it looks like, to be honest, this is pretty well done. They got the English, you know, really well done here. It's nice in color, a nice quality pieces of paper here, nice little booklets, and it goes through everything, tells you what the lights mean and everything. They also give you a few little stickers. This is like a little sticker booklet, and you can go ahead and put them on your quadcopter however you want. That's kind of neat. And warranty and return card here. And then this is the main user guide, so you can see how well this thing has been done. It's a nice thick book. It feels good in the hands, and it looks like this company is really trying to make an impact on the scene, especially for the English speaking market. And you can see that these have quality color pages. All the instructions are very well laid out. It goes through all the controls very clearly. It says what the quadcopter does very clearly, how to charge it, how to put on your camera and all that stuff we already went through. So ascending speed 6 meters per second, hover accuracy 0.8 meters, max flight speed 15 meters per second. The motors are 920 kV brushless motors, 3S LiPo. Flying weight 810 grams, and it will fly up to 15 minutes. So I'm assuming that's 15 minutes maybe in its naked state. If you start adding cameras and gimbals, that's going to go way down with this stock battery. So, and then we have some information on the controller. Let's go ahead and charge up the quad battery. Make sure I have these batteries all fresh in the controller. Get this camera in here, and I'll get this mounted up. Get out to the park and do our flight test and get some footage of how the video is looking with this stock camera mount here, and I'll have the hat cam on so you can see the whole flight test. We'll put it through all of its modes and then do like a little pros and cons after we fly in the park and just see how it did. Alright, so let's go fly this thing. So we're here at the park with the TOVSTO AEGEAN GPS quadcopter, budget GPS quadcopter, and I got full batteries here in the controller. And I also have a fully charged battery. It's stock battery it comes with in the quad here. And what I did for a camera for this review is I basically went ahead and mounted up my Get2 camera right on the provided little mount here. You can see how it's just mounted up. I had to really crank this screw down to kind of keep it from going forward and back, so just keep that in mind. You're gonna have to put a screwdriver in there and really crank that thing, otherwise it's gonna be flapping around. But basically just put a couple of stickers on it, some of the stickers it came with, just to make it a little more cool looking. There is a micro USB port in here, so we might be able to possibly access the firmware later on. I'm going to be recording with the Get2 camera in just 30 frames per second at 1080p resolution. And I brought this little thing out here because I want to mark my launch point. I want to see how accurate this is. Unfortunately with this one, just before we launch, I just want to go over something here. In the manual, these are actually labeled different than what it says on the controller. On the controller it's saying number 3 is smart orientation mode, but in the manual it's saying 1 is full manual, no GPS or altitude hold. 2 is altitude hold only, I believe, in the manual. And then in number 3 in the manual, it's saying that's full GPS and altitude hold mode. So as you can see on here, it's saying they're different things. It's saying number 2 is GPS and position, and it's saying number 3 is actually like a headless mode. So whichever is the truth, I don't know. We're going to find that out right now, but let's go ahead and just boot this thing up, save our launch point, and see how it does on return to home. We're going to go test out all the functions here, and we'll also do maybe a range test and also a height test. So we'll just see what this thing can do. It looked like it was kind of limited with a geo fence in the book, in the instruction manual, but we'll see how it does. So let's go ahead and start this thing up. So the first thing you want to do is you want to go ahead and turn on the controller, go into manual mode, turn on the controller. And then you want to, as soon as possible, go ahead and get on like a level surface and go ahead and just plug it in. So I'm going to kind of let it sit here plugged in. I'm going to put this little temperature gauge there to mark our home point. So now we want to just go ahead and get the battery all tucked away in here. All the battery cables tucked away. Oh, and you know what I kind of forgot to mention too is with this camera mount, especially, I'm not sure how a GoPro will fit in here, but you can see how there's such a huge gap in the back. I had to stick a piece of foam in here, so keep that in mind. It was like all loose inside of here until I went ahead and put a piece of foam in. So for this flight, I'm going to have the camera going straight forward, just directly forward, and we'll see what kind of shots we can get with this and how stable it is. So I'm going to go ahead and start recording. So we're going to arm by holding the left thumbstick down into the right. It started to kind of flash red, and now we're armed. So this is going to be, I'm going to give it a quick jolt. Cool. So you can probably hear a little bit in the mic. We do have some wind coming from this direction. So there's going to be a little bit of wind. Now this is full manual mode. You'll notice I turn off the props. See that? It just completely turns off the props. There's no GPS lock. There's no altitude hold or nothing. So you can fly this thing around here in full manual. It's pretty quick. Full pitch forward. Fighting the wind, coming back, still full pitch forward. There we go, doing a little turn there. So I'm fully manual here. Okay, so that's what you can expect for manual mode. There's our roll. I'm just going basically lock to lock on the stick here. Not too good for filming, but I'll have that video also from time to time up on the screen in a box, or maybe full screen too, so you can see the quality and how shaky it is with this stock mount. Anyway, switching into toggle switch number 2. So this should be altitude hold if you're in about the middle position on your throttle. So if you're going to use this altitude mode in mode 2, make sure your throttle is right around mid stick. It will still go up and down if you push it up or push it down below a certain point. See how it's coming down? So that's basically altitude hold mode. Let's get it up a little bit and see how good it is in altitude hold mode actually. So I'm going to get about yay high, and I'm going to just full pitch back, full pitch forward, and I'm not going to touch the altitude, I'm just touching the yaw. It seems to be actually holding its altitude very well, even with that fast flying. Alright, cool. So let me bring it down a little bit. Oh, actually, let's do a punch test with altitude hold mode on. So that's what you can expect for lift. Full throttle down. It's not cutting the throttle, but it's coming down very fast. And we're getting a little bit of shakes when it comes down. It's like vortex ring state or something. Okay, now let's go into mode 3. So you saw I just switched into mode 3 and it locked its position in. So it looks like the manual's right. This is wrong. So these two, this should be altitude hold mode for 2, and 3 should be GPS hold mode, position hold. So the controller's wrong, the manual's right. So let's see how well it locks in. So now what it's doing is it's using its barometer for altitude hold mode. So you want to keep your throttle stick centered. This does not have a spring, so you have to manually keep it centered. And we want to just hover it right here. So let me get up a little bit so we're kind of eye level. Right about there. And let's see how well this thing locks into its position. So let's do our walk around here. And keep in mind, we are getting a little bit of wind coming from this direction. So it's trying to compensate for that. But overall, it looks pretty good. We're getting just a slight fluctuation in altitude, which is very reasonable, barely anything. I still have the camera recorded. Hello, how you guys doing? So just continually walking around, and it seems like, honestly, it's locking its position very well, as good as any other quadcopter could lock its position in. So very impressed with its GPS lock. No complaints there whatsoever. We can see that the green light on the back hasn't changed between modes. So let me go to mode 2 on the controller. You'll see it start to drift back because that'll be just altitude hold, no GPS lock. So now it's drifting back, and that light has not changed back into GPS. And you see how it slowly locks its position. And so that light doesn't change with any of the modes you're in. It stays green. Back into the GPS lock. So I went all the way into mode 1 there for a second, and it went up a little bit. Anyway, here is the speed in GPS lock. So a lot slower. You can see how slow this is. So just cruising, it's going to be limited by what the flight controller is set at. It can go in GPS. I'm still full stick forward. I've been full stick forward this whole few seconds here, and that is the speed we can expect. Turning, looks like it's not entirely smooth when it turns and tries to go back in its forward position, but not too bad. Alright, cool. So we can kind of expect, it's a very docile and slow one in its GPS lock. It looks like it will get some speed, but you can see how when you turn, it does take a while for it to start gaining momentum. See how it flattens out, and now it's going forward. Okay, that's kind of what we can expect. Let's go ahead and get it up. Let's do an altitude test. So I'm going to go right around here in the park, let it kind of find its lock. Drifting quite a bit, now it's locked in. Okay, full throttle up. And you can see that this throttle will stay up. So there's no spring in the throttle. I'm not sure if that was a good idea on their part. It looks like they're just kind of trying to appease the people that want more manual flight as well and don't like that spring throttle stick. So still full throttle up. And hopefully the camera's getting some great footage. Let me go ahead and pan over there to the ocean, Kihei Lahaina side. It looks like it's going pretty high. I thought it might actually be limited, but it looks like it's going sky high. It doesn't look like there's a limitation on that. So let me go ahead, and I'm dropping the throttle all the way down now, and I'm hoping I'm not shooting myself in the foot here, but I have throttle all the way down. Let me just level it out and do a quick little panoramic, just barely turning it, and let's just see what kind of video we get when it comes back down. There's no special functions on this, like you know, rotate around point or point of interest like the X380 has. This one's a little more simple, but it does have that manual mode, so that's kind of what's going for it. Okay, cool. So let's drop throttle all the way down, and I am in GPS lock, so it should just come down right in its column of lock. It looks like we're not having any motor shut off or anything, so that's a good sign. So that was way up there, so it actually seemed like it was going further than it said limitation in the manual, but I don't have any way to judge that because I have no telemetry on here, just from visual line of sight, which I was still in the whole time. So we're still full stick down, and this is kind of what to expect. You see it kind of wobbling. Let's go ahead and level it out. Let's see if that happens actually when we fly at an angle while it's coming down. So I'm going to go full stick down and then pull all the way back. You're going to see it wobble at first. Wobbling, and I'm going to pull full stick back. Whoa, yeah, so it's really wobbling there. So be careful with this one. It looks like it's going to wobble on the way down, even with GPS position hold on when you're moving. It actually seemed a little bit more stable coming straight down, which is unusual. Anyways, that was a height test, and I'm not seeing any blinking indicating we have any issues going on with battery power. So far, everything seems to be fine. Here's the yaw right here. Let's try to do a yaw, full yaw in position hold. Whoa. So there's our full yaw in position hold. You can see how it's getting a little bit wonky at first. A little bit unbalanced because of the camera letting off. Let me show you that again, how it gets a little wonky at first. So I'm going to go full yaw left. See that? So it just needs to kind of stabilize itself. You know, nobody's going to be doing that all the time, so that's fine. That little bit of unstable at first. It is slightly weird though when I do turn, like a hard turn, and then readjust my bearing. It has this weird thing where it needs to kind of get combobulated, and then it does okay. You can see how it's doing that on its own. I did a turn and then it kind of went whir, whir, and then started going forward. Overall good though. I mean, as long as you don't do hard turns like that, your video should be pretty smooth. And again, I'll have had that video up in the screen. It seems like it's actually flying, lasting quite a bit of time here. So overall impressed with the flight time. Let's go ahead and bring it down. And keep in mind I am in GPS hold here, so I can kind of just get the feel for how good it's locking in and flying around. Let's go back into mode 1, which is our full manual. We have full manual control, no altitude hold, and no GPS lock. It should go back home in any mode you're in though, if you hit that return to home. Let's go ahead and try that right now actually. I don't want to do like a full-on range test with this because I have no FPV on it, and if it goes down I won't know where it is. So I'll do that in the next one when I put a gimbal on there. And that will be a little bit down the line. We'll have another video with that, and also that 3DR 5100 milliamp battery. That'll be awesome. Okay, so let's see, manual mode. Fly out here, hitting return to home. It stopped, it's hovering. What's it gonna do? It's coming back with tail in. I'm rotating it, and it's still coming back. So you can yaw while it's coming home, and you can move it around. All right, cool. So you still have full control when it's coming home, but I just messed up its home point. So I'm going to go out of return to home by clicking that button again so it pops out. And you know what? We've got low level blinking lights, so let's test the return to home again. And I hear a beep. There's a beep on the craft, not on the controller. So hitting return to home, I'm going to face me first. Hit return to home. And here it comes. So that's pretty cool. You have full control while it's returning to home, but I don't want to mess up what it thinks is its home point. So let's see where it lands. So it's trying to get its bearing on its home position. Come on now, come on down. All right, so it's coming down. Looked like it hovered there for maybe 10 seconds. Okay, so I'm not touching anything. I'm just going to let it do its thing. Yikes. There we go. Let's see what it does. Yeah, that's coming from the craft. Is it? Yes, that's got that beep is coming from the craft. Full stick down, and the propellers will go off. So you see how I had the stick in the middle position. When I pulled them down, it went off and disarmed. So that's cool. So let's see what our accuracy is on the return to home. We can see that we are about 1, 2, 3. That's about 4 to 5 feet off. So reasonable return to home. I didn't expect it to be super accurate. There could be a lot of, you know, circumstances today. We could have a bad satellite lock. We could have power influence, and we could have this tree influencing maybe one of the satellites over there. So there's a lot of different things that can, you know, mess up your satellite lock. But overall good. That's good enough for me. About 4 feet is fine. Some quadcopters are better and some days are better than others, but overall pretty good. Let's go ahead and turn off this camera here. So you can hear the beeping. So that is coming from the craft, and it's just indicating that it is in a low voltage situation. So the beeping just turned off on its own. Not sure why. Cool, so let's go ahead and go through a little bit of a pros and cons on the TOVSTO AEGEAN. So at least it's got a camera mount. I'm not sure if there's going to be a version that has a gimbal. I didn't see that on the product page where I got this from, but at least they give you a little mount for your GoPro style camera. It seemed like the flight time was pretty good with this 2200 milliamp hour battery. It seemed not bad. I'll go ahead and check the raw video, and I'll have those numbers pop up on the screen so you can see exactly how long it flew with this get up, get to camera mounted up. And you'll have also seen the video that you can get from this when I was sky high. That would probably be a pretty good shot of the West Maui Mountains down there, and you can see the stability up there. And I did kind of a pan, and also throughout the flight you could kind of have had that video up there so you can see that too. But basically pretty good. I mean, for a low budget quadcopter, aside from a couple of shortcomings, a little bit of shakiness on descent, even if you're full pitch and trying to go full throttle down to try to lose altitude as fast as possible in full GPS lock mode, position hold mode, it was a little weird and really shaky. It looked like it was almost gonna crash sometimes. But I think if with this one, if you kind of refrain from doing full throttle down, a pro is it's got full manual mode. If you like that, this might be one for you, for a really budget one, and then you can put your own, you know, 3D gimbal on there, your own FPV setup. It does have the power output on the bottom here, JST, and also the pitch channel there for one channel coming out, which you can use on your controller here. So pitch up and down or whatever you want to use that for. That channel's open. With this one, it looked like it would have been nice if the controller beeped when you're low on power. This thing beeped. You could kind of actually hear it pretty good from a ways away, but I would have liked to have seen the controller beep when this was low on power, because if you're out of that range and you don't quite hear the beep, you won't really know when to come home. These lights did flash. This one didn't, it seemed, when it was low on power. I can't really remember, but this seemed to be green all the time, and no matter what mode you're in. So it may have been cool to have like different colors or different kind of flashes to know if you're in manual, altitude hold, or full GPS hold. And that comes to another thing, a little bit of a problem with TOVSTO on their labeling here. This is different than what it says in the manual. The manual was correct and this was wrong here. So besides that, I thought this one was going to have maybe an altitude limitation of below 400 feet, something like 350 feet, and it seemed like I was up above that 350 feet, and it just kept going. So I'm not sure if they enabled the GPS geofence on this. It said it was in the manual, so I can't really test that though, but I will be testing it when I do put an FPV setup on this, and I do plan to just put a simple FPV setup, a gimbal, and I still want to test that 3DR 5100 milliamp battery and see if this thing can handle it. The motors are still ice cold. I didn't check them immediately after the flight, but they're ice cold. There's no heat whatsoever coming out of them. So I'd imagine it will be able to handle that 51 milliamp 5100 milliamp battery that you can just pop in there. So that'll be awesome if we can like double the flight time or close to that. That'll be pretty cool. But anyway, guys, I hope you like this review. I will have the link to this, don't forget, down in the description of the video on, you know, current pricing on this. It's a budget quad, so it may be appealing for a lot of you guys, and then you can kind of do your own stuff. I don't know how easy it is going to be to mess with the firmware at this point, if there's any kind of ground station to hook up your computer to with it and adjust some of those parameters. I'm not sure on that yet, but I will have the link down there for the price and also all the specs on it. If you want to check out that link, go ahead. Anyways, I hope you really enjoyed the review, and more to come on this one. I'm not done with it yet. We're going to do the battery, we're going to do FPV, we're going to do range testing and all that stuff, so stay tuned for more on this one. Anyways, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.